What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today we're going to take a look at some really iconic video games in the superhero genre. And we're going to talk a little bit about the very first few minutes of those games. Now, if by now you haven't played a game like, say, maybe Batman Arkham City or Batman Arkham Knight, I suggest that if you don't want spoilers, you might want to avert your eyes. But you can probably maybe listen, but there is nothing that can compare to actually playing and experiencing them for the first time. So perhaps this video might not be for you. And I'm sorry to say that because I don't want anyone to get upset with spoilers. Because the last time I alluded to a spoiler, I didn't even spoil it. Someone got upset, and I can understand some people are averse to those kinds of things. But we're going to jump in because at the onset of this month, the Gotham Knights team, or the marketing team, decided that through IGN they would release a first 15 minutes of gameplay that was, available to everyone to see. Now, there is something that was quite important in that entire gameplay segment, and that's the fact that the development requested that IGN keep the prologue of the game as a secret. Now, what could be in the prologue of this game? Could it be a huge story element that we are yet to see? Or could it be, as some have already hypothesized, that you probably are going to be playing as a character, Batman, that no one has necessarily heard of or seen? Now, I don't think that's the case because the presenter at IGN alluded to the fact that this was going to be the very first time the player takes control of the game. So I doubt that we're going to be playing any sequence before that gameplay reveal unless they wanted him to truly hide all of those details from us. So today we're going to be looking at another game. We're going to be looking at its prologue and the very first few minutes of gameplay. It's not necessarily exactly 15 minutes. It's more like 18 to 20 minutes. And this is Batman Arkham City. The reason I've picked Arkham City is because it is one of the preliminary games that put Warner Brothers Games Montreal on the map in a sense. Because right after Arkham City, Warner Brothers Games Montreal was tapped to make Arkham Origins just in time before Batman Arkham Knight was fully finished by Rocksteady. And a lot of the framework that Rocksteady's Arkham Origins was built on was actually Arkham City's framework. So Arkham City starts out with this very interesting prologue that really does throw you into Batman's world. It's a very short prologue, but really does set the tone as to what it is the developers were trying to do. They had just come from Batman's Arkham Asylum game, and they wanted to expand the world a little bit in a bigger way, but also wanted to give you kind of a sense as to what Batman's danger and perils were about, which is pretty much throwing him into the lion's den or to the shark pool where all the criminals are, where everybody is, and he has to not only survive but also sort out as to what exactly was at play or what was going on underneath the surface. The most critical thing, nonetheless, is at the opening of this game, you see some thugs pretty much having a conversation about things, and you think, yeah, Batman's going to come here and put some fists through his teeth. But at the end of the day, you realize that they decided to start out this game with none other than Catwoman. Now, this is a very interesting take to the entire gameplay of the game because you hadn't necessarily seen much, and the very first person that you see, or the very first character, is one of the anti-heroes to Batman, which I thought was a very intriguing way to actually start the very first time that the player took control of this character. Imagine expecting to see Batman, because they even kind of flashed a shadow of some kind of a costumed person, and you would have thought that it was Batman, but then the thugs were like, oh, Catwoman, and then they start, trash talking, and you as Catwoman have to actually take control and beat the brakes off of these bad guys. Now, that also gets cut short. Before then, they throw you into a newscast with Vicky Vale, and then you see Bruce Wayne, and not only do you see Bruce Wayne, he's pretty much captured. I thought this was a very unique storytelling strategy that had the player thinking, what in the world is going on? Because now I have two conundrums. I just finished playing as Catwoman. She gets captured by the Two-Face guy. Then I see Bruce Wayne is getting captured by some paramilitary crew in a sense. And so you're already dialed in, you're ready to go, and you're pretty much 100% pumped to see how this game materializes. Now, that prologue that is hidden from us in Gotham Knights, I wonder if it has the same effect on the player, or the agency of the game is able to kind of move you in that direction to say, all right, from what I've seen in this prologue, I'm ready to delve into this game. And so this is where I think the storytelling aspect for Gotham Knights can really benefit from, if it is grounded in a sense as to make the player embrace everything that the game is about. And that little scene where you're trying to select who your character is and the four knights are having a conversation as to the next step in a circle, I thought that was actually really cool. At first it seemed a little off, but then again, it is some sort of a transition that was coming out of that prologue that we didn't get to see. So I guess that's where that break of awkwardness really did stand out. But then let's return back to the Arkham City conversation about its first few minutes. You see that in this whole conundrum, Bruce Wayne is getting interviewed, and it is not necessarily just a conundrum of him having been captured, but one of the villains knows his identity. So this adds a third layer of kind of this conflict that's going on with Bruce Wayne himself and possibly Batman. And so you have to find a very interesting way to escape. They bring in this really interesting scenario where Bruce Wayne pretty much shakes himself off of a chair. He falls down, a guard comes in, and as a guard is about to hit you, your job is to pretty much use the counter functionality to just basically stop the guard and steal an encryption chip. This is a tutorial, but they wrapped it into all of those conundrums in gameplay. So one thing about Arkham City was gameplay and all of the storytelling parts are so weaved in very well that it's one of the more engaging Arkham games that you can find out there. Not only does Batman steal this encryption chip, another guard comes in to assist, beats you up a little bit, roughens you up, and then takes you through some line where there's been a deal that has gone down for the Penguin to continue the physical destruction of Bruce Wayne. Only for them to find out that, to their surprise, this was just an outlet for Bruce Wayne to escape in this place called Arkham City, which was pretty much a big, huge scale prison that had been put in place. Now, Batman not only knows that he has to survive, but now one of his biggest antagonists knows his secret, so he's going to have to maybe just go all out nonetheless and figure out what's going on. And this gameplay sequence takes you through what I feel is the most shocking and epic confrontation that I've seen in any video game in terms of a hand-to-hand combat. And this is where Batman counters one of the bad guys and then uses his knee and the bad guy's head to break apart his handcuffs. Yo, sometimes I literally go back to Arkham City to replay this aspect of the game over and over again. In fact, I have a save file where I just do that action and then I restart from checkpoint just so that I can do it again. It is so satisfying, so shocking, and I think it's one of the elements of Arkham City that literally at this point, if you were maybe not a believer or if you were kind of still skeptic and wondering what's going on, it pushes you off the edge to dive in deeper into Arkham City. I wonder if Gotham Knights has something of that sort. Yes, there is a huge tutorial sequence that we got to see, but it may not necessarily be that aspect. It may be the developers are structuring the game in a different way, because this is a game that is coming with a different system. It's coming with a different combat that is quite intricate and a little bit more complex in a sense than the Arkham games. The Arkham games designed their combat for simplicity, and the Gotham Knight game is designing its combat in a whole different paradigm. And so I'm guessing the difference you're seeing here is they're trying to get the player to understand the gameplay measures, and then eventually there would have to be that place where you come to the crossroads of the position whether the game is going to push you in full speed or if the game is just going to progress at its own pace. Either way, the story and the gameplay and how they're interwoven with one another is really going to set the tone for Gotham Knights. Anyways, I wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys today, and hopefully we'll do more like these. I'll probably move to Arkham Knight, and many of you probably already can guess what the big moment for Arkham Knight was if you actually played it from a gameplay perspective. And I guess I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. So thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Peace out.